everyone, it's Emma and welcome back to my channel for another True Crime Tuesday. If you are new here, this is my weekly series every Tuesday that focuses on all things true crime, from unsolved murders, mysteries and disappearances to solved serial killer cases. So if you enjoyed this video, I would love for you to stick around and subscribe to see more true crime videos every week. So for this week's True Crime Tuesday, I'm going to be discussing the mysterious case of Tamara Jean Holcknecht. Tamara Jean died aged 22 under very suspicious circumstances, with her family strongly believing that she was murdered, whilst the police are saying that it was an accidental death. So I was asked to cover this case by her mother, who is also called Tamara, so thank you for asking me to cover this and I hope you're happy with how the video turns out. I'm also going to add a few links in the description box to a Facebook group for Justice for Tamara. They've also got a website and there's some Crime Stoppers information as well. So Tamara Jean, also known as Mousy, was born on July 27, 1984 in Henrietta, Texas, to parents Jim and Tamara. She has one older sister, Marie, who is 19 months her senior, and Tamara graduated school in 2002. She was a very musical girl. She was very musically talented. She taught herself to play the guitar and apparently she was very good at this. She would always play guitar whenever she had the opportunity, at family gatherings, etc. And her family, to her, she was a rock star. Everywhere she went, someone knew who she was, so she was a very popular and beautiful girl. Her parents divorced in 1992 and have both remarried, so Tamara also had step-siblings and just a big support network of friends and family who miss her very dearly and who really want to find justice for her. And Tamara got her nickname Mousy because when she was a baby, she used to make squeaking noises when she was crying. So they used to call her Mousy and the name stuck, and this is how everyone close to her would refer to her. So Tamara, or Mousy, was quite short. She was around 5'4" and she weighed only around 110 pounds. She had sandy blonde hair which she often tied back in a ponytail, and she had very blue eyes, and on the day that she was last seen she was wearing a black t-shirt, black jeans and a pair of brown moccasin shoes. So at first Tamara's disappearance wasn't suspicious because, as I said, sometimes she'd be hanging out with friends and her mother wouldn't hear from her for like a week at a time. So at first they just thought this was what was happening. And the last time her mother spoke to her, I believe, was on February 25th, 2007, when she had a phone call with Tamara and she said that she was going to come and visit her the following day. However, sadly, she never made it there. So as I said, Mousy had a lot of friends, a lot of people she would hang out with, and sometimes she would stay at the trailer house of a 62-year-old man named Robert Lee Shrum, who was more commonly known as Bert. So Bert was a disabled man who Tamara had befriended one time when her car broke down and he let her use the phone. So following this, they became friends and she would run errands for him, help around the house, that kind of thing, and in return he would sometimes let her stay at his trailer. And apparently Bert was a bad alcoholic and Tamara would go to the store for him in his car and get him alcohol and food because he was disabled and he was unable to do this himself. So I guess in some ways Bert was like a father figure to Tamara, and they had an unconventional but very close bond. And so he was obviously very upset when he found out she was missing. Around 3 p.m. on Sunday the 25th of February, she left Bert's trailer and she told him that she'd be right back. However, she never returned, and this was the last time that anyone is known to have seen her alive. So Tamara's mother became more suspicious as time passed by and she couldn't get in contact with her. Then on March 9th, 2007, Tamara was officially declared a missing person in Wichita and Clay County. And her mother searched for her, she called everywhere, she looked everywhere, but there was nothing, there was just no sign of her. And as the days went by, it seemed that the police department and local news outlets were really uninterested in Tamara's disappearance. Then on Wednesday, March 28th, 2007, two boys aged 10 and 13 were exploring an area close by to Bert's trailer where Tamara was last seen. And here they found the body of Tamara lying face down, wearing the clothes that she was last seen in a small stock pond which is no more than 2 feet deep. The following day, an autopsy was performed which found that the body was in a deep state of decomposition, but was absent of any evident trauma to the head or the body, or any evidence of defensive wounds or strangulation. And apparently at the crime scene, police collected very little evidence, including just one of Tamara's moccasin shoes. The other shoe has never been found. Police also collected from the crime scene what they believed to be human skin, but it's unknown and unclear whether this was identified and whether it was what they initially believed it to be, and if so, who it belonged to. Also, a toxicology report came up negative for cocaine and similar drugs in Tamara's system, but it did reveal something quite interesting and quite suspicious. It did reveal the presence of a chemical called isopropanol, which is used in the manufacturing of antiseptic soaps and lotions and acetone. And it's not a substance that the body typically produces upon death under normal conditions, so it is strange that this appeared on the toxicology report, and it is very unlikely that Tamara was drinking this substance. So it was then agreed by investigators that Tamara died as a result of drowning in the small pond, due to the hyperinflation and congestion of her lungs evident on the autopsy. So according to the police and medical officer, Tamara supposedly somehow wandered into this pond and passed out, dying as a result of a fatal tragic accident. And besides the obvious flaws and holes in this theory, there is one key piece of forensic evidence that suggests, if not proves, that this is not the full story of what happened to Tamara. So when somebody dies, a process called lividity or livor mortis takes place, and this is when the blood settles in the lower part of the body. It's like a gravitational pull, because the heart has stopped pumping blood around the body, so it settles in the lower part. And as a result of this, you will usually see blue to purple discoloration under the skin, which is caused by this gravitation of the blood. However, Tamara's body was found lying down, face down in the pond, but the lividity was found in her back. And specifically it was described as lividity with contact, which means that she must have been laying down on her back against some kind of hard surface for this to happen. But the bottom line of it is that forensically, Tamara's body could not have died in the way that she was found, because the lividity contradicts this, and it just does not add up. Apparently it can take at least 12 hours for lividity like this to occur, but in warmer weather, which it was at the time of her disappearance and death, the heat slows down lividity and the whole process can take up to 2 days. It suggests that she died elsewhere before being placed in the pond on her stomach. And as well as this forensic evidence, there is some more suspicious information about Tamara's disappearance. So Tamara's cousin Cassie remembers the last day that she saw her. Growing up, the girls weren't that close, but in recent years they'd grown a really strong bond and they were very close. They spent most days together. And that particular day, Tamara asked her cousin Cassie if she could drive her to a house across town, a house which her cousin describes as being a very bad place. So in the house there was a strange appearing man who was tall and wore glasses, and he was saying something suspicious, something off to Mousy. To her cousin, she felt very uncomfortable even being in the room, and she also felt uncomfortable for Mousy because the man and the woman who was present were talking down to her and being very rude to her and putting her down. And the woman who was present appeared to be really crazy and acting very erratic, like she was on some kind of drug craze. So when they left and they were walking to the car, Mousy asked her cousin if she would stay with her at this house, but she said no. She really didn't like the vibe that she was getting from these people, and she didn't want Tamara to stay there either. So she then left and Mousy stayed, and that is the last time that they ever saw each other. So Cassie recalled another conversation that she and Mousy had just before they'd gone over to the suspicious house. So they were sitting in the trunk of her car having a drink. Mousy was playing guitar and they were singing along, just enjoying the afternoon. But after going back inside, she later told her cousin that she was in some kind of trouble with the wrong kind of people. But when Cassie questioned her, she told her she didn't want her to be involved with them either. So she told Cassie how she'd met a girl who she was getting on really well with, and Cassie believes that maybe this was the woman who was acting strange in the house. and maybe this is how Mousy got involved with these people, is through this girl. And it was right after this conversation that they drove over to this strange house. So Cassie believes that maybe Mousy wanted to go over to this house to smooth things over, to try and solve whatever kind of trouble she was in. She was just trying to sort it out and get out of it, whatever it was. Following the discovery of Mousy's body, her mother Tamara began receiving many phone calls and social media messages which were all implicating the same two people. The same people Cassie described at the house, two people who her mother had never met, but it seems that everyone in this town thinks that these two people were involved. Tamara was told many stories about knowledge of the criminals, how they apparently bragged over Tamara's disappearance and her murder, and how some people knew the truth but were withholding it. So despite going to the police with this information and all of these tip-offs, they were really unhelpful, and Tamara felt very shut out by them. It seems that they're happy to leave this as an accidental death without asking any further questions themselves nor answering them. She was treated like she was stupid for even considering that this could be more than an accident or questioning their ruling, but I think looking at the evidence, it's very clear that this was more than just an accident. For one, the forensic evidence involving the lividity, but secondly, the more obvious fact that she went missing in February but was found wearing the same clothes in March. To me that's strange because I don't think she could have been lying there that whole time without anyone seeing her or without any animals getting to the body or anything like that. It all just doesn't add up. I also don't know how they could suggest that she had some kind of self-accident. Like, people don't just fall into small ponds. There was obviously no evidence of drugs or alcohol in her system, so I don't know why they would suggest that a normal, healthy person would just fall into a very small pond and drown. That to me just seems very off and very strange. So in Wichita Falls, rumours as to what happened to Tamara are abundant, and as I said, her mother has received so many tip-offs and so many theories as to what happened to her. Despite accusations, Tamara's mother doesn't believe that Bert was involved, mainly due to his disability and the fact that Tamara could have easily overpowered him, but also due to the deep grief that he displayed after her disappearance and her death. Also, despite the fact that the police department have always described this publicly as being an accident, there are several strange things that they've done to suggest that they believe otherwise. The most obvious one being that they used city funds to pay for a big billboard advertising and appealing for information on Tamara's case. Now this is very strange because if you believe someone died as a result of an accident, why would you make a big billboard? Why would you appeal for information if you are sure that this is what happened? Additionally, Crime Stoppers have featured Mousy's case and they've even increased their reward, which again is not something that happens for accidental death. Also, the fact that the case remains open and they are refusing to close the case suggests again that something else is going on here, because why would you leave open a case if you believed it was an accidental death? So that is all for my video on the mysterious disappearance and death of Tamara Jean. As always, I would love to hear your theories and thoughts on the case in the comments. Do you agree with Tamara's family that this was not an accident? Personally, I think it's very clear that something more sinister happened here. I think the forensic evidence and the way the police department are acting is very strange, and it's just such a shame that this was not properly investigated. So as I said, I'm going to leave some more information in the description box, a link to her Facebook group and her website, as well as the Crime Stoppers information. So of course do check those out, and if anyone local does have any information, I would really encourage you to come forward. Also, please do give this video a thumbs up because it does help YouTube to push the video out further to more people, which is what we want because we want to raise more awareness of Tamara and her case. And of course, if you aren't already subscribed to my channel, it's free to do so, and I would love for you to support me in making these videos because I love making them. I spend a lot of time making them. And yeah, that is all for this week's True Crime Tuesday, so thank you so much for watching, and I will hopefully see you next time. Bye!